100 hours and counting. Race against time to rescue 40 workers. Indian Air Force airlifts giant drilling machine. $900 steel pipe to be lifeline. Oxygen, food and water pushed through pipes. Uttarkashi tunnel horror. Top focus on 6 p.m. Prime.
Good evening. You're watching 6 p.m. Prime here on India Today. I'm Akshita and Nandagopal, and this evening we're going to get you all the updates coming in on the rescue operation that's underway in Uttarkashi. 40 workers who are currently trapped in that tunnel. It's been 5 days since the rescue operation officially kicked off. Are we finally going to be seeing those workers being pulled out today or tomorrow? We'll get you the latest on that with ground reports. A look at the headlines first. BJP releases poll manifesto in Rajasthan, promises 2.5 lakh government jobs in 5 years. Women's safety, pro-farmer schemes made key focus. Nearly 30 days now, and Delhi is still breathing poisonous air. Air quality levels hover in the hazardous category. Our government forms a special task force to combat pollution. External Affairs Minister Jaishankar talks tough on Canada, says freedom of speech is misused in Canada, also seeks evidence of country's allegations on Niger against India. US and China to resume military contacts after frosty bilateral concludes. Biden labels Xi Jinping a dictator. China hits out, calls Biden jibe and irresponsible political manipulation. Israel destroys Hamas parliament. IDF finds Hamas weapons and MRI units inside the Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza. And David Milner is closing in on a century, but South Africa lose 8 wickets for less than 200 runs in the semi-final against Australia at the Eden Gardens. And let's begin by getting you the latest updates coming in on the rescue operations that continue as we speak in Uttarkashi to pull out 40 workers stranded in a tunnel alive. A total of 9 meters of pipe has been injected till 5 p.m. It's going to take about 24 hours, we're hearing, for this operation to be completed, because every single equipment that's being used, every single step of drilling is taking hours. At this point, what in fact officials have confirmed is that today from 10:30 to 4:30 there's been drilling work that's been on, and as a result of that a 9-meter pipe has been drilled in, but still the work is going on. There is of course hope, because remember that food, water, oxygen, all of that is reaching the workers, but they are hoping that they can get them out at the soonest. Obviously in these kind of operations time is of the essence.
इसमें अगर आप तकनीकी देखें या इससे वेरी डेलिकेट ऑपरेशन, हमें बड़ा आसान लगता है कि आप कैसे नहीं खोद के निकाल पा रहे हैं, लेकिन यहाँ पे कई फैक्टर्स काम कर रहे हैं, एक्सटर्नल एज वेल एज इंटरनल।
तो अगर मैं ये कहूँ कि कम से कम 24 घंटे अभी और लग सकते हैं, तो क्या ये कहना गलत होगा?
नहीं, ये कहना गलत इसलिए होगा क्योंकि जो इनिशियल समय लग रहा है, जब आप कोई भी चीज़ इनिशियली करते हैं तो उसमें समय ज़्यादा लगता है, बाद में आप उससे यूज टू हो जाते हैं, तो वो काम फास्टर होता है। तो ये वेल्डिंग का भी काम शुरू में थोड़ा धीरे होगा, अलाइनमेंट कर रहे हैं, ऊपर नीचे हो रहा है, एक बार वो सेट हो जाएगा तो वो चीज जिसको कहते हैं ना निकल जाएगी।
एक आखिरी सवाल, जो बोरिंग आप कर रहे हैं उसमें वल्नरेबिलिटी कितनी है, क्या चीजें रास्ते में बाधा बन सकती हैं?
2-3 चीज जो हम सोच के चल रहे हैं, लेकिन वो भी हम सोचते हैं कि नहीं होगी, क्योंकि ये हमने अगर आप देखें तो जो पूरा टनल है उसके बीचों बीच से हम ये प्रोसेस किया जा रहा है। तो अगर हमारा कोई भी चीज़, मान लीजिए मशीनरी फटी है, फंसी हुई है, या साइड में रॉड्स हैं, तो वो साइड में है। तो बीच में जो बेस्ट पॉसिबल जो एरिया हो सकता है वहाँ से हम जा रहे हैं।
Let's take this across to Ashutosh Mishra for more details. Ashutosh, from the conversation that you've had with experts, there have been some positive developments that have taken place today.
Well, if I could say that after 6 hours of a long effort, the first capsule of the escape tunnel, the 800 mm pipe, has been successfully inserted in the debris. Now the second pipe, which is again 6 meter long and 800 mm, that pipe is now on the alignment system, on the alignment track, and now the welding process has been completed. As we speak, it could be inserted in any moment. So the first 15 to 16 meter is not really very challenging, looking as the fragile and only the debris in the tunnel, as the experts say. But the real challenge is after 15 to 16 meter, where there potentially could be a big rock, where potentially could be the vehicles that they were using inside the tunnel, or heavy machinery, or the JCB. Now the estimate is, because pre-accident, the workers, those who were walking to that area, were working around that area, that estimate says that the track they have made there, particularly, this could be quite easy go. But if there is some hurdles come, for example metal sheet or the metal arc that says support of the tunnel, then it would require cutting down, and that they have the diamond cutters, and it would also require manual effort if there are iron rods coming on the way. So that makes really critical, and that's exactly why every insertion and adding of a capsule of the escape tunnel, the escape pipe that we say, takes at least 2 to 3 hours. So the calculation is, for every 5 meter it's 1 hour, then adding up, and then the alignment takes 3 hours. So it is basically one capsule ratio is 4 hours. Now they have to insert for 10 such capsules after 6 meter each. That makes it 60 meter to reach the trapped worker. So even calculation, it could be somewhere between 24 to 40 hours. However, it again depends on the obstacle that will be on the way in the debris. If it is easy go, perhaps it will be completed in less than 24 hours.
We'll talk about the challenges, Ashutosh, in just a bit. I can see that it's pitch dark around you, which means obviously that also is a serious challenge for the rescue team right now. But I want to break down for our viewers how this entire rescue operation is playing out and what's happened so far. Remember that these 40 workers are currently stuck inside this tunnel. Now, from both sides, you're seeing efforts on to rescue these workers. There's about 60 meters of total debris that's been identified. A lot of it has already been pushed out. So what we're looking at is about 20 plus meters of total debris. Beyond that, now equipment being brought in from different parts of the country, experts from different parts of the world are all coming in to remove the rest of the debris without disturbing this particular portion where 40 workers currently are trapped. The fortunate bit is that all of them are alive. Officials outside have been able to ensure food, water, oxygen is sent to them through pipes. There's a 900 mm pipe that is in fact being inserted inside as we speak to create a passage. This is the steel pipe that I was referring to earlier. They're making it get in very slowly, but it is going to take a lot more time to actually reach that pocket where right now the workers are stranded. Now, if you look at this particular area, 1,750 meters have been constructed on this side of the tunnel from Nandagopal. On the other side also, there's only a bit that the construction has been completed in. And on that side where you're seeing the rescue operations also continuing, 2,340 meters have been finished from Silkyara. Now, besides that, as far as this portion is concerned, you're seeing that there's about 441 meters still under construction. So obviously this is a sensitive area. They can't afford to go ahead and just push their way through or clear the debris, because there's a concern that with all of these areas being under construction, it could further collapse and thereby be a threat to the life of the workers who are stranded inside. Communication is happening periodically using these pipes through which they're sending food, water and supplies. But obviously, they are counting on ensuring that these workers are pulled out at the earliest. Let's round up for you all that's happened in the last 24 hours.
100 hours and counting. 40 workers are trapped since last Sunday when a tunnel in Uttarkashi caved in. A giant drilling machine, airlifted by the Indian Air Force, is now being used at the site after initial efforts to drill a passage suffered a setback. The plan is set to insert a 900mm wide steel pipe through the debris to prepare a tunnel for escape. Nearly 50 meters of debris needs to be penetrated to insert the evacuation tube. Experts from Norway and Thailand are being consulted given the fragile state of the mountain.
The NHIDLC and several other agencies including NDRF, SDRF are keeping a close tab. In fact, the communication is also very critical and essential as to check on the mental health of the 40 workers while the supplies of food, water, oxygen is being continued. The biggest challenge is to penetrate the 50-meter long debris inside the tunnel.
Mahadev Nayak, a trapped worker, can be heard saying he is doing fine inside the tunnel.
महादेव महादेव बोलो बोलो महादेव महादेव बोलो तुम्हार घरे कही दियो तुम्हार दादा मन के बाबा मन के ठीक आछु चिंता नहीं करे बोलू कुओ तुम्हें निजे को बोली दियो बनू के तुम्हार ठीक आछु बोली करे बोला छु दादा बोलो दादा हाँ ठीक आछे
Uttarakhand CM Pushkar Singh Dhami and Union Minister VK Singh visited the accident site.
मशीन इंस्टॉल हो गई है, वहाँ पर काम करना भी शुरू कर दिया है। NHI, DCL और भारत सरकार के अधिकारी सभी एक दूसरे के समन्वय के साथ वहाँ पर काम कर रहे हैं। थोड़ा स्थिति वहाँ की कठिन है, लेकिन बहुत जल्द जो है उस पर पूरा ड्रिल हो जाएगा।
वो सब को देख के लिया है कि मशीन पुरानी जो पड़ी थी उसकी लोकेशन मालूम है, उसके से हटा के अलाइनमेंट। हाउ मेनी मशीन्स आई एम टोल्ड सर दो मशीन है और वो लेफ्ट साइड में इसलिए राइट साइड और ये उसके सेंटर में लगाया गया है। वो अलाइनमेंट उसको देख के लगाया भाई, इतनी तो इंजीनियर दिमाग लगाया।
सर एक लास्ट चीज जो अभी आप कह रहे थे कि मेन फोकस इज ऑब्वियसली ऑन द रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन, क्या आप ये चीज बोलेंगे या मान सकते हैं कि आफ्टर दिस एंटायर ऑपरेशन इज ओवर there will be a high level inquiry committee which will look into the matter and who is responsible for this?
We will look at that after our minds are settled.
Exactly, after that, obviously.
That we will look at it later. That we will. There is a procedure that we have. We will look at it. Don't worry.
Every minute counts as the rescue mission reboots with new machines to ensure the trapped workers come out safe. It is not clear how long the mission might take to reach the victims. With Ashutosh Mishra and Arvind Oja, Bureau Report, India Today.
This is an extremely challenging operation in which you've got international experts also roped in right now. Let's run you through what's hampering the rescue efforts. Why is it taking so long? 5 days on, the operations continue. The debris is still around 50 meters ahead of the laborers. And to get through that is a serious challenge for which equipment is not available in Uttarkashi. So it's being brought in from different parts of the country. Area leading up to the laborers is also extremely weak. There's a possibility of it coming crumbling down, which is something we simply cannot afford. Now, earth movers, power generators, small machines are also inside the tunnel. In some cases with the workers, sometimes in between the debris. So that's something that they're also having to navigate around. It's difficult right now to reach the trapped laborers directly. It's not as simple as really clearing the debris through. They have to ensure that they do it sensitively as well, because these workers are trapped essentially in a pocket and they don't want any threat to their lives right now. So that's what makes this extremely sensitive as well. Let me take this back across to Ashutosh Mishra for more. Ashutosh, extremely challenging operation. You know, we've seen these kind of operations being conducted abroad as well, in which case as well it's taken at least a week for the workers, for anyone who's been stranded to be pulled out, which is the circumstance, the case here as well.
You know, there are some respite in terms of there is no claustrophobic kind of situation, because even behind this debris wall, those workers have at least a passage of 1.5 kilometers. So they can at least move freely around. However, the temperature, that remains issue. Inside the tunnel, it is really very warm. So clearly the communication has been established just to keep them, you know, psychologically motivated and encourage that, look, all efforts are being done. The food essentially is the protein supplements that would be required. required for the survival. Of course, it is not a regular diet because you have a very narrow passage to supply the food with the compressor and also the water. But what is more challenging is that if there is sickness, what kind of medicines required, because essentially the communication is, the range is 50 to 60 meter using a pipe. So one may not be able to express what kind of treatment that one requires. So essentially only the basic medicines. Now, moreover, the challenges that remain topographically as well, because this is being one of the most fragile mountains, the scale and the vibration, they can, soak the observation at only some magnitude. Because if there are massive, vibration, then eventually it will lead to more and more falling of the debris, and that will again hamper the operation. And the obstacles coming on the way through the beaming and this, tunneling in the small scape tunnel, again that will create more and more obstruction. And as we know, this is a race against time. This is indeed one of the most critical rescue operation in the mountains in the Himalayas, Akshita.
So extremely risky, but we're all, of course, praying for the safety of those workers. Ashutosh explaining to you what are the challenges right now, what are the conditions in which those trapped workers continue to live, and hope, of course, that they will see daylight in the next 24 hours. As part of the efforts to pull them out, we've seen sophisticated equipment being brought down to Uttarkashi as well, including auger machines. You've seen this term being thrown around a lot with regards to this particular rescue operation. Let's tell you about this high-grade drilling machine. It's been brought down from the national capital, and essentially it has a rotating shaft. It's a mammoth machine. But to just explain to you how it works, it's got a rotating shaft that essentially cuts through some of the debris. And it does it in a very scientific way to ensure that there's no problem of the debris falling further. It's got, in fact, a 900 mm wide mild steel. This is an entire, in fact, steel machine that has been brought down to Uttarkashi. It's got a replacement pipe. It's got a cutting head with a helical screw blade. And it's the screw blade that's being deployed now, being used to ensure that it can drill through, create a hole for a pipe to be put in place as well. This machine is already in works right now, is already being used. It was flown down by the IAF and hopefully will ensure that the 40 workers who are trapped inside are pulled out safely. That at least is the hope right now. Now, while this equipment is being used in this particular case, like I mentioned earlier, there have been similar circumstances, similar such rescues that have been conducted worldwide in the last many years. And let's explain to you how really that was done previously. If you look at the case of Thailand, which I'm sure you remember, of a soccer team being stuck inside a cave and how it took weeks to really pull them out. There was that incident. There was another similar incident also in Mexico. All of the experts involved in those rescues are now being consulted on a live basis for updates on how to go about this particular rescue. So let's recap for you what lessons we can perhaps learn from those successful rescues.
Every second counts in the race against time to rescue 40 workers trapped inside the Uttarkashi tunnel that caved in on November 12. The authorities are bringing in international organizations for expert advice and to speed up the rescue mission. Special teams from Thailand, including the one that had helped save the children stuck in a cave there in 2018, have been roped in to help the rescue efforts. The Thailand cave rescue was one of the most difficult rescue missions and was tracked across the world. 12 members of a rescue team aged 11 to 16 and their 25-year-old assistant coach had entered the cave on 23rd June after a practice session. Shortly after they entered, heavy rainfall began and partially flooded the cave system, blocking their way out and trapping them. Efforts to locate the group were hampered by rising water levels and strong currents. They were out of contact for more than a week. Two rescue divers sensed the boys were breathing from their exhaust bubbles, which they could see and feel. Rescue organizers discussed various methods to rescue the victims, including teaching them basic diving skills. After days of pumping water from the cave system and respite from rain, the rescue teams got the group out of the cave. A similar rescue operation was carried out in the partially flooded El Pizard cave in Mexico. The rescue occurred in March 2004 after 6 British soldiers were trapped inside. They were rescued after 8 days by British cave divers. Divers from the Cave Rescue Organization assisted the soldiers one at a time as they exited the cave. The victims were in contact with their colleagues who originally had 10 days' supply of food as well as lighting and sleeping bags. While the situation in Uttarkashi may be different from Thailand and Mexico, the expertise of teams from abroad will be valuable in speeding up the rescue mission. Bureau Report, India Today.
And we're hoping for some good news in the next 24 hours or so as work continues to ensure the safety and the return of the 40 workers who are trapped inside the tunnel. Trust us here on India Today to get you every update of that story. I'm wrapping up this edition of 6 p.m. Prime. Coming up on the other side is our sports special, where I run you through some of the highlights of last night's semi-final.